Hi, I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England. Where currently the tarmac on the roads have been turning into Marmite. The people are spontaneously combusting and just really aren't equipped for this. And I'm really excited for when we get one drop of rain in 2 weeks and people say, what global warming? We've had a drop of rain, what global warming? Sorry, Dave, I had to get that off my heated chest.
No, I understand. Remember, I live in a hell swamp, so I'm right there with you, baby.
Yeah.
I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned sometimes you got to be really careful what you pick to watch in public, and this is Raiders of the Podcast.
Yeah.
Now I said that because sometimes I like to I like to donate blood to the Red Cross, and I was donating platelets this week. And if you do that, they set you up because you can't move for like 2-3 hours because you got needles in both arms and blood circulating around, and they let you watch stuff on Netflix or whatever you can sign into. So I decided to try The Hunting Wives on Netflix because I thought, oh, a cheesy B sleazy mystery drama would be a lot of fun. Do you know how much nudity is in some episodes of that show?
I do.
I
Because Vicky watched some of it and I was like, hello, what are you watching? Excuse me.
I did not expect that. I'm sitting there in the middle of this room. Like anybody, like folks started looking at me funny because there was like a 10-minute sequence in one of the episodes I saw, and I couldn't stop it. I couldn't pause it. I was just sitting there with blood coming in and out of me, looking at it, and I couldn't stop. And they judged me. And the show's okay for what it is. I like Brittany Snow, and Malin Ackerman can be fine, and Jamie Ray Newman's really good. Katie Lowe's is and Dermot McRooney and Christy Metz are all kind of wasted, but and so's God, the fourth one who's played by oh crap. Is it Joyce Glynn? I should have written down and had it in front of me. She's wasted too. Like a lot of the cast is wasted, but the ones that aren't are good with what they're given. So yay for that. I don't know if I'll finish it. I don't know if I'll bother with season 2 because it's just a little too obvious. I like my mystery drama thrillers to have, some mystery and drama and thrills, and it doesn't have any of those. It does have nudity, so there's that. But I have other places to go for that. You know what I'm saying? The only other thing I watched was I watched the Among Us TV series because I like Among Us. I play it fairly regularly with a regular group of people. Hi, Among Us people. But the show sucks. It's another one where I love the voice cast. The voice cast is fantastic. It's like a great lineup of voice actors and comedians from the last decade or so. But the writing is atrocious and the animation is atrocious. That I can't believe that they actually bothered bending because this was in development for like 6 years. I really cannot believe that they went through this with that this is what they came up with. I get that it's a really limited setup, little bean guys in space being killed, but like 10 episodes of this was just too much. Maybe you could have pulled like an hour special out of it. That would have been fun, but instead it's just there. And whoever okayed this should really apologize to everyone. And the worst part is it's created by the guy that did Infinity Train, and I really liked Infinity Train. And this is not it. This is so not it. It is such a pass. And instead of being like bizarre and wild and fun, it's just dumb and flat. And it's a shame because there's a lot of things you can mock in Among Us, like corporate culture, and instead they just went for the lowest, easiest joke for all of it, which again, it's a swing and a miss. I guess I respect the attempt. I just wish it was better. I just wish it was better.
It would never be a choice for me because I've never played the game.
Well, my niece is obsessed with the game, and
Mhm.
that's why we watched it. But yeah, it took them like I think the first go of this, like they first announced it 5, 6 years ago, and then this version they announced 3 years ago, and that they spent so much time and money on it, and that's all they came up with. It's a little disappointing. I mean, maybe if I hadn't been forced to watch all 10 episodes in one sitting, I'd have enjoyed it more. But as it was, it was just really dull. But that's just, that's just me. You might enjoy it more. Who am I to say? You won't though. But you might, but you won't.
I I saw some big titles, Dave. Not
I'm
gonna
glad
lie.
one of us did. I'm glad somebody made up for the first two of us didn't even bother showing up, and I only watched TV. I thought there'd be three other people carrying their way, but no.
No, but I took solace in the cinema, lovely, lovely air conditioned environment, and I mean sometimes that was a highlight though, because I mean Killer might end up liking a couple of these, so steel yourself. I went to see Toy Story 5, and I know you're already rolling your eyes and being like, "What did you expect?" But it was, I don't understand why people are giving this a pass. It's not good. Like it's not it's not funny, right? Now, but the Toy Stories I can understand they're not sold as necessarily comedies. They're animated movies. The characters are blah blah blah. So, but it's not funny. So that didn't work for me. It's again a good thing. It's more Jessie's story. So she's like a feature character, and I think that's good. And sort of just taking this other direction, even if they can cover some familiar beats. But it makes it feel more awkward when you still get like Buzz Lightyear and Woody around, particularly Woody. Like Tom Hanks comes in here like some kind of friendly faced cameo in an 80s sitcom. You know, when the crowd would go nuts for a full minute and then they have two lines and leave, and then folk
Yeah,
have their
yeah.
polite applause and cheering.
I
Yeah,
remember
e-
those.
every moment Woody's in Toy Story 5 feels like that. And like I don't think they can't commit to the bit. They can't say, right, uh tech is coming, it'll put toys out of action and it's not necessarily good for kids without saying, well, it might not be all bad. There's middle ground. You can do this, you can do that. So they haven't committed to that bit. So there's no real point in that. The
Well, and it's a
the
lie.
reason
You know what put toys out of action? Bain Capital murdering Toys R Us. It killed half of the industry. It killed the distribution networks, leaving it to just Target and Walmart, who don't give two flying fucks. That's why toy shelves suck and nothing sells except nostalgia shit.
just took Jeffrey the giraffe out back and shot him in the
Yeah.
head.
And they did
Yeah.
it over one mediocre Christmas. So thank you, Bain Capital, and fuck you, Disney, for being half-hearted jackasses. But
Um,
you can finish. Sorry.
sorry, you touched a nerve there.
I feel very strongly about how Bain Capital murdered the whole industry and nobody said shit.
Um, like the other thing about this, it's just it's a film of half measures, and then they they rework the beats of Jesse's backstory. But now I'm not going to get spoilery, but there's a moment in this film that I misinterpreted, and the misinterpretation made it a much more potentially interesting film in my head, because I was like, how the hell are Pixar going to handle this material? But if anyone can do it like Pixar can, I would have faith in them doing this, and it would be, it would still be very moving. It would still be like a really worthwhile story and a subject for them to tackle. And then I was like, oh no, actually, I've completely misread one scene. So it's really just a rehash, you know. It's let's get the toys having to race somewhere. Let's get toys having to save the day for a child. Let's do that again, which we've done again and again. But other installments, and I know I'm pretty sure you didn't like four. I can't recall if you know, tolerate the other sequels more. But I even liked four.
No.
But I just thought four was, it made up for everything by being more fun. And you had
You know,
what's his face,
I had a
Forky.
I had a friend who stopped talking to me over my description of 4.
Right. Well, don't share it here.
Oh, I'm
I
gonna
don't.
share it here. You're gonna
No,
hear
because
it.
we have to keep talking.
No, well, we
Otherwise,
will
you're
keep
just
talking.
recording
No,
on
let
your
me
own.
finish. You've seen the movie, so you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So my thing was, it's about Woody realizing he's too old to play with children and running off for his girlfriend. And they thought I was making it up and making some weird joke about child molesters. And I was like, dude, no, that's literally what the movie's about.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of that. Like I've done my bit, and I'm allowed to sort of have some time on my own and still sort of stay with a foot in these worlds. But 5 is just like it's no good. And I know I mention them quite often because I listen to them a lot, but there's a British film critic here, and it was a very valid point that I repeated myself. Sorry, Dave, if you had that, that's my alarm saying we're due to record the podcast soon. And Mark Kermode said that I think what sums it up best is that in Toy Story, there was that's not flying, that's following with style. And by Toy Story 5, there's a load of Buzz Lightyears flying around. That that I think really does sum up like where they've part of where they've gone wrong. It's not good. Are you there? Did I kill you
Yeah,
with?
no, I'm here.
All
No,
right. So,
I was muted because I didn't want to, make a sudden exclamation. I wanted you to finish Toy Story so we can move on. Because I won't
I
have to
thought.
see it because the niece hates the Toy Story movies.
Oh,
So
that's right. Then I was going to say
yay.
so she might have wanted to go and see it, but that's fine. But the other one she may want to go and see isn't isn't as bad as Toy Story 5, but is sadly disappointing and annoyingly will then give fuel to idiots who claim different reasons for it not being good. Is Supergirl. So I went to see Supergirl, and I know that you're already prepared for this not to be great because of Craig Gillespie directing, but
Yes.
I have enjoyed other Craig Gillespie films a bit more than you, but this is like this is the greatest hits of the worst of Craig Gillespie. This is really quite bad, and his direction is just, I mean, it's horrible. It's like he's always wanting to move around to find the right needle drop moment, and then he just screws it up. It's like watching a film where someone constantly comes in too late and doesn't hit their mark. That's what he does here. And you've got everything here. You've got, the person who's losing their powers and then gets the burst so they can make the comeback. You've got let's be there contemplating the absolute existence of everything and then, really quickly flick our eyes open to stare at people either with laser blasts or just showing we're back to full strength. You've got characters like being knocked around and then having a fun time fighting back. It's a checklist of cheesy superhero movie tropes. And it's frustrating because there's a much better movie hidden away in here. Like I think Millie Alcock's really good as Supergirl, and I think her, I think the movie works best when she's allowed to sort of go about like a moody teen who happens to have superpowers. So if she wants to get a bit drunk and then pick a fight with a bar full of folk, that's not going to go well for everyone else in the bar. I kind of like that attitude, and I like that there was for quite a while there was a real reluctance on her part, and with the movie staying on her to show that she doesn't really want to be anyone's hero, and she'd spent that long with walls up because of her background that she didn't really want to let people, pass those walls. I think there's good stuff there. Gillespie doesn't want to go any deeper into that, and neither does writer Anna Noguera. That's how I'm pronouncing her name this week. Yeah, they just they just end up settling for kind of the lowest common denominator. And then I was hoping I would have fun with Jason Momoa as Lobo.
Why?
Again,
He's always terrible. Always terrible. I said
yeah,
it.
but you know, he wanted to do that character for so long. It seemed to be a fun character, and comic
But
book
he's
fans
not
were like, "It's all
fun.
right." But yeah, he comes in and he further unbalances the movie because, like, oh, here's the Lobo show for a scene or two. I'm like, I'm not interested in that movie. Jason Momoa might be interested in getting that movie done. It's like I don't want to come along and see the Lobo show because that just didn't work for me. So it's a real shame. And yeah, I can see this one. I think it's on track to do very badly, and I think it makes a mockery of the statement that James Gunn said about how they wouldn't move forward until the screenplay was absolutely bang on with every project. Like, no, that's absolute BS. It's just corporate BS, isn't
Well,
it?
yeah, but what do you expect when you hired Craig Gillespie? And I think you nailed it. You said it. There's a better movie in there. That's
Yeah.
every Craig Gillespie movie. Even I, Tanya, and like I, Tanya has at least two amazing performances. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
but
I would say still easily his best film,
oh yeah, his
but
best by far.
I did quite enjoy Dumb Money, and then
See, I hate Dumb Money.
I
Dumb
had
Money does not
distracting
understand what
fun.
it's about. And Lars
Uh,
and the Real Girl is misogynist trash. You
I've not
just want to
seen
have
that.
sex with Ryan Gosling.
Well,
Not you. Everybody that immediately went, no, Lars and the Real Girls. No, you just want to fuck Ryan Gosling, and that's fine. I mean, who doesn't? He's Ryan fucking Gosling. But the movie is misogynist crap. But no, that's all his movies. Cruella, there's a better movie in there. Fright Night remake, there's a much better movie in there. Finest Hours, there's a better movie in there. That's just Craig Gillespie's signature. I make movies that should be better.
mm, yeah, I mean, you could be right. And this is coming from someone who was entertainingly distracted by Cruella. But I know it's not a great
I
film,
mean,
but
yeah, it
I
is
had my fun with
entertainingly
it.
distracting, but that's because of the lead performance
Mm.
and the costume designs. Once it's Gillespie setting up shots, doing lighting, staging things, it's incompetent. Or directing the CGI. The effects in that movie were atrocious. Especially that dress. This is our big showstopper, and it looks like ass.
Well, pace yourself, Dave, because I also watched Over Your Dead Body, which I hadn't had time to watch the original, which was from it's Red or Dead guy, isn't it? Red versus Dead. Um, is it Workola?
Yes, the
Yeah.
original is The Trip
The Trip. Yes.
by Tommy Wirkola, who did
And
Dead Snow.
I might be misremembering, but I think Numi Rapace is in that one
She
with
is.
whoever the male lead is. Right. Okay.
It's Naomi Rapace and fuck, the guy from Uno, and he was in the 2015 The Martian, and I see his face, and it's Axel Hine. He's fuck, something like
I,
that.
shall we call him Axel Heine
Yes, let's call him Axel
for this?
Heine.
Right.
But he's excellent. Uh,
Right. Okay.
I really like the original Norwegian version to the point that I know I never need to see the American
I
version.
know. I know what you guys say. So you gotta already be disliking Jason Segel. You guys say he does nothing and never does, right? You're
I
hating
mean,
on Segel.
no, I wouldn't hate on Jason Segel if like he's fine in forgetting Sarah Marshall, I guess.
I
I
really
hate
like
everything else in
Shrinking.
that movie though.
I think
Yeah,
Shrinking
okay, yeah,
is
Shrinking.
great.
He's okay in Shrinking. Yeah, I'll give him that.
He's not good here. And neither really is Weaving. Like they're actually both not given enough to like really dig in at each other. Do you know what I mean? It's strange that it starts off almost trying to feel a bit more grounded, and that's where it fails, because that's setting up for everything that comes later. And as things escalate and it's getting sillier, I can see the point of what they were going for. Let's start off grounded and escalate things and get them sillier and darker and more violent. But it it doesn't work because it just doesn't give them enough sort of time and space to really, get the knives into one another. Kind of like this needed sort of Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner chemistry from War of the Roses. That's what you want from this. You want them barely able to look at each other in the face for all of the, first, let's say, first half of the movie, and then see what happens when things are changed up a bit. And it just didn't. I don't think they were allowed to be as I've got to say venomous is the word. But there's some fun to be had. I mean, Timothy Oliphant is great when he appears on screen. When isn't he? I would argue. Juliette Lewis is fun in her role, and in the sort of final, I want to say 20 to 30 minutes, there are some very good, extremely gory gags, which which I was more pleasantly surprised by because it had held back on those. But again, I kind of wished there'd been a bit more spread throughout the whole runtime. And then, last but not least, but also last, because it's best and last, is Jackass. Best and last. Yeah, I got along there for Jackass.
Oh, I
I
want to
knew it.
see that so bad, but it's the summer, so the niece is underfoot all the time, and I can't do it. Oh, I want to see it so bad.
Well, what I would say is it's very much like when the Simpsons or Friends wanted to save a bit of money or didn't have all the time that they wanted, so they did a clip show. It's kind of that, because you get the clip show with some of the new material around it, and I don't know,
That's exactly what I want.
it might be 50-50 or whatever, or it might be like 60-40 for the old stuff. I'm not sure. I couldn't exactly keep track, although it's wild. It's wild to see like how really, really baby faced they look in the earliest clips. Oh my god. They were barely out of short trousers when they started damaging each other's testicles. The new skits, I don't think really work as well as the older stuff. And I was surprised because I actually really liked most of the last Jackass. With the new cast members as well, I thought it was a good mix. I thought it was a good laugh. With these ones, it's probably the right time for them to bow out if they do, or to hand over. They don't seem to have as many sort of great skits. There's an escape room from hell, but they show that after showing clips of the room from hell from, I think it was the last one, which that's one of the funniest things. I can just keep watching when people run out of a dark room into another dark room with frying pans and pots hanging from the ceiling and just hit themselves in the face with those. That's great. And there is a really traumatizing game of Twister in this that you will like, Dave, and also maybe not be able to watch in its entirety. Like I had to control my gag reflex. But
See, I,
it's,
I love the last one so much that I want the clip show where I get to see them 26 years ago looking babyface, and I might not feel ancient for like an hour and a half, or I'll feel
yeah,
more
and
ancient.
I think the best thing about Jackass to me is the pranks that were. I love the ones that are either them like hurting one another because they're in a gang and they can hurt one another, and that's fine because they've all given themselves this kind of complicit consent while they're working on these antics. So there's that. There's the really mad moments. Just there was the Portaloo gag, wasn't it? I think where Preston walks in, and then Wee Man comes out, and people are just looking like, "What the hell's going on?" I like
Yes.
those. I like those moments of madness, and I sort of always prefer the more innocent ones because Jackass is the equivalent of, let's jump in that shopping trolley and go downhill dead fast, and that's what they do in a supersized degree in one of the the skits that were surrounding. Was it the first film they did the big shopping trolley thing? I think it might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Um,
first movie.
that I like that, and there is a lot of that on display here, and as you can see, certainly one or two of them uh, with a tear in their eye that isn't just from being whacked in the nuts again. Because they do. I think whatever happens with the property, they know that, right. We can't keep doing this to ourselves. Like that's. I think that's why some of the stunts aren't as maybe imaginative or wild as some of the past ones, because there have been times where they've really gone, all out, and times where one slight miscalculation would have killed at least one of them at any given time. So it's fair enough that they get to do this for them in their way, and yeah, there is. I think it is nice that it's been constructed with that kind of sweetness at the heart of it that has always been part of the appeal of Jackass. I think that's why I liked. They're naughty schoolboys who grew up and just kept giving each other dead arms and nut shots. So I think if you get along to it, you will enjoy it, Dave. But just
Yay.
be wary. I I knew there were sort of bits of archive footage in there, but I didn't realize it was such a split.
This week, we finally decided to celebrate one of the most underappreciated, well, at least in the US, and I guess the UK also.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. Hong Kong filmmakers Johnnie To with 1999's The Mission, 2007's Mad Detective, 2011's Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and 2012's Drug War. Hey, Kevin,
Yeah.
I'm going to start things off with Craig's pick, The Mission.
Okay.
This one is about a triad boss, Lung, survives an assassination attempt. So he gets at a restaurant owned by one of his underbosses. So he gets Curtis, a retired veteran of the triad who's trying to be a hairdresser, to assemble. No, is it Frank? I'm sorry, Frank is first. He gets Frank to assemble 5 guys, including Curtis, who's retired, trying to live as a hairdresser, James, a loner and firearms expert, Roy, who's a rising guy in the ranks, uh, Shin, who's a promising underling, and Mike, a sharpshooter and former pimp. The 5 then spend their time trying to protect Lung in some really dynamic and fun action sequences. Uh, Starting off, I am a huge fan of Johnnie To. And when he works, I think he works fantastically, and he makes some interesting ideas and choices for the out of the 4 movies this week. 3 of them are, you know, triad films, and one is a romantic comedy. And out of the 3 triad films, I think this is, well, crime films generally, this is the weakest, but I still think it's an absolute blast. When we get to the action scenes, they're well shot. There's tension in them. The characters all come off as professional and they're efficient at their jobs. It's not, it's not like a lot of American films where they're just everybody's just like a body to take up space, or they're all such, personalities that they're clashing together, and this is just it's very well shot, edited, and it treats them as human beings instead of just being stereotype, haha, we're a group now. Especially, I think the last third is fantastic. That's where it really comes alive when they go into the repercussions of what they did before. I am a huge fan. I think the cast is great, especially Anthony Wong as Curtis. He is fantastic in the role. Franz Ning as Roy is really good. Uh, Lung is played by Eddie Ko, who is in, like, you see this guy. I think he's in like 200 Chinese films and TV shows since the mid '60s. He popped up. He's the guy that everybody's trying to save in Lethal Weapon 4, just to, touch something that most folks might have seen, and they're like, oh, that guy. Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed the crap out of it. I'm not going to say it's a great movie. I'm not going to say, oh, everybody should go rush out and watch it. But if you want a solid uh action crime film, they made it in, like, I think they only made it in like 15, 16 days. Uh you just want a solid action film that's just worth watching. This is, I mean, I'd say most Johnnie To films are on that list, but this is definitely one worth keeping an eye on and worth looking for. It's a solid one.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with you, Dave. I don't think I like this quite as much as you did, just because I didn't really feel fully drawn in with each of the characters. Like, you did get to know them, but I think getting to know more about them was wasn't done as well as when they were being affected as a group and when they were having their group interactions, and to try and look after the boss and to try and sort out whatever might be hampering them in their attempts to look after the boss. I think like To does direct it well, and we will go on to discuss other aspects in the other films of what he does. But I generally agree with you about the fact that he's not necessarily as celebrated as he should be. Um, I think most people, including myself, tend to stop with like Election and Election Two, and um, even Takedown was a completely new one to me, and that was when you picked it for the podcast. It was Takedown, wasn't it? Am I remembering that right, or was it Throwdown? No,
Throwdown,
Takedown, Throwdown.
throwdown,
Sorry.
throwdown.
Um, yeah. Like I, I don't think I'd even heard Throwdown mentioned before. Certainly not in many conversations. Anyway, I've heard them election two. I've probably heard Drug War and Mad Detective mentioned by others before, but couldn't remember hearing much about the mission. And when I was scanning through Johnnie To's filmography to see what I could pick and to see if I could potentially annoy you, there was there was actually like way more variety and other titles to choose from than the so I just figured there was a small handful to choose from. So he's definitely, I think, more at ease with the crime films or crime tinged dramas, and I think the mission is a good one. I don't think anyone sort of wanting to work through his filmography, I don't think they would be majorly put off if they started with this one. I just wish it had been a bit better with the individual storylines that all come together really nicely, sort of throughout the narrative, but particularly at the end. Like, I thought it's a really good ending as well. I liked how everything came together. It was very satisfying, but I kind of felt like I worked a bit harder to keep track of where people were going and where they were going to have the crossover points, if that makes sense. It might have just been me not not like keeping track of who was where and what they were doing in their jobs here. But that was the thing working against it. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe just
Yeah,
me.
no, I get it. And you could say that about a few of. I am a huge fan, and I will say that repeatedly as I gush on most of these movies this week. But you can say that about a few of them, even ones that I like more than The Mission. There are a few spots where there's just too many moving pieces to be. Yeah, I get
Maybe.
it.
Yeah, yeah. That might be a better way to put it. But also, like that's that's not that's not the worst thing to have as a negative. I think we're often saying, we don't like every movie to feel like it has to spoon feed us, and movies should be designed for the movie, for the narrative, not for thinking, okay, like we've had mentioned a little about the Netflix films, or make sure and repeat the main plot every 5 minutes in case, people aren't concentrating or they're on their phones or whatever the fuck else they're doing and still watching the movie. Now with Johnny To, I think it's just I I think I would do better if I was more familiar with his cast of maybe regular actors, if he did work with the same actors multiple times, or if I'm better for identifying them and just getting to know people. But he does, he puts them together. I know that he has the, like, everything done correct as it needs to be. I'm just sometimes a step or two behind, putting things in place and following the conversations, and then be like, oh, that was because, a couple of minutes previously, that's what that meant. So that's all. So the fault, dear Dave, lies with me. Now, uh, I'm going to say, strangely, what was a bit simpler for me, bizarrely, was Mad Detective. and and it took me a moment to adjust to Mad Detective, but then I did get there. So this one is from 2007, and there is a detective played by Sean Lau who has the ability to see, like, inside people, their inner personalities. That they could seem to be ghosts, but it's kind of their character, and he is put on with a young detective, um, and they are pursuing someone who is suspected of killing another cop, and there's a lengthy investigation, and basically there is a villain who has kind of multiple personalities in them. I knew when I described this, I was going to end up making this sound too much like Identity, and it's not like Identity. That's not what I mean. But there are representations of those spirits in the person, and that's what took me a moment to adjust to. When I was watching it, I didn't initially realize. Anyway, that's what happens. This man can keep seeing people, and his young partner working with him doesn't really believe him, but they have to keep working together. I I really like this. Um, I I just I think it works really well, and Sean Lau is great as the detective. Or is he retired actually, or forced off the force
He's
possibly?
forced off.
Yeah,
He's been
people
expelled.
don't like him. He does that thing where he cuts his ear, and it was a wild beginning to this one. I'm like,
Yeah, he
what is
goes.
going on? Yeah, I think Sean Lowe was great though, because he is, he's one of those movie characters that's seeing very strange things around him, but is acclimatized to those things, but also does remain aware of how others are generally viewing him. I think he was really good at that. His young partner, I'm going to say, is Ho, played by Andy On. I think I've written down the correct names here.
So far,
He's
so good, man. So
oh
far, so
nice.
good.
He's really good at being that sort of standard young cynic paired up with someone that he just hopes can help him, maybe even accidentally find some way to crack the case. And what I really liked him, and what this happens about 2/3 of the way into the film. What I really liked about this is when a certain event triggers Ho to kind of develop a new or a different inner personality. And that to me, like, really helped me get absolutely even more fully on board with this and fully into it, and view it as more than just you know a crime thriller with a bit of a gimmick at the heart of it, because that's that's what it could be. They could have taken this in any number of ways. It could have been much more of a they could have played it as an outright horror movie. It could have been darker, more twisted. It could have been played up for comedy. There's so many ways this could have been done, but it's actually, I think it's a really good look at someone who is afflicted with this, in quotation marks, gift, and this shows, how they're just constantly being kind of bashed around by this extra information that other people don't have, right up until, I mean, again, it's another brilliant ending. Like this was probably my absolute favorite final scene of the special, and like I really liked drug war as well at the end, but then this, it didn't feel like a it didn't really feel like a gotcha or anything, or a rug pull. It it just felt, again, like it was all working to keep underlining, you know, how the life has been lived by this central character who a lot of people didn't believe, or were just put off by, or scared of. I thought it was great. A large part of that is down to that lead performance, but there's also a great supporting cast, because there are people portraying different personalities that you see, and once you start to get used to the concept and the way it's been shown, it just works brilliantly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mad Detective. And I think Mad Detective might have actually been the first Toe film I found, because this is one of the few that actually got a release here in the US in theaters in, oh God, 2007. So like 20, almost 20 years ago. So this was my introduction to Toe's films. And I maybe, hold on, I'm trying to remember, was Election just before this? Because I might have seen Election just, no, yeah, Election was just before this. So I guess Election would have been the first one I saw. But I'm a big fan. I love the approach. It is a totally unique character. I think Sean Lau is excellent as Inspector Bun. But not just him. I think the supporting cast is all great. The officer that they mostly can suspect is played by Lam Ka Tung. I know I fucked that one up. Lam Ka Tung Jung. I'm sorry. And he's excellent. There's two versions of Bun's wife. And one is played by Flora Chan, and she is really good. Kelly Lynn plays the other one and is also excellent. I am Joe Cook. Sometimes she's called Joe Koo, depending on who directs the film. Plays one of the inner personalities, and she is also just a really good actress. Absolutely solid. Just it's a good film. Lam Suet, who is a recurring Johnnie To, and not just Johnnie To. I think he's a recurring actor in the works of Stephen Chow, and like pretty much every name Chinese director of the last 20 years is this guy's buddy, and he appears in all their movies. So he's when you'll see him, you'll be like, oh, that guy, right? Because I think he's also in he's in The Mission. He's one of the five guys in The Mission. He's in this. He's in God. Which other one was he in? He's in oh I'm trying to remember if he was in the other two movies, and I am totally brain farting at the moment.
I can't
I don't.
remember. Was he in Drug War?
He is in. That's what I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember if he's in Drug War. He's not. He is in Drug War. He is in Drug War. I don't remember if he's in Don't Go Breaking My Heart though. That's the one I was trying to remember.
All right.
He might be in Don't Go Breaking My Heart also, and I'm just forgetting. But in Drug War, he's one of the driver. He's one of the drivers
Yeah.
for the uncles. But yeah, he's in all of he's in like everything. If you look at that guy's Lam Suet's on IMDb, I think he's in as of uh because he's still popping in stuff, but I think he's in like 300 250 300 movies. Like dude is in you name a Chinese movie, he is in it somewhere. But
Can
yeah,
I risk your
no, go
slight
for it. Yeah,
disdain, Dave? I you know what? I kept thinking this would be a very different movie, and I've realized that I was confusing it with something else I haven't seen, which is it MPD Psycho?
yeah, yes,
Um,
MPD
so
Psycho.
so I thought this was going to be like a mad like almost like a Takashi Miike style film, you know,
Yeah,
and maybe I was more impressed with it because it defied my expectations that way. Because when as soon as you mentioned the two actresses playing his wife as well, I'm sitting there like, yeah, but like that was great as well. Just the different interpretations of his wife. It's so fucking good. Sorry.
it's so good. MPD Psycho is a good one, and but it's a TV series, so we probably
All
won't
right.
be covering it. But yeah, no, I think it's excellent, and something Johnny To does, and I could have said this earlier, and we could have picked like 8 totally different films and at random, and we could have said this about most of them. He likes to build movies around an interesting character. Here's Inspector Bun. In Vengeance, it's I'm trying to remember it's Francis Costello. In Don't Go Breaking My Heart, it's mostly Louis Koo's character, but you could say that about any of the 3 leads. In Throwdown, it's around again Louis Koo's character, the kickboxer. On Running on Karma, it's around a former Buddhist monk who's a crazy weightlifter now. Like they're all around these interesting characters that carry it, and I think that's a big thing that does set his stuff apart. Like Election, Simon Yam and Tony Lung Kai Fai's characters. These are they're good characters to build a film around, which I think is slightly different than a lot of stuff that we get over here, where it's just the plot is the most important thing, and they just kind of throw in a smattering of trope guys on top of it, if that makes sense to you, because that's how I view a lot of them. I mean, even like, and I enjoy the John Wick movies. This isn't like a slam on them. I'm not saying they're bad movies. I'm not saying this because I'm being a little pointing this out, but like John Wick is not much of a character. As much as I adore Keanu, the guys around him aren't much of characters. They're just kind of there to facilitate the shooting and the loose plot, you know? And Toe's films are the opposite, where this is a film built around Inspector Bun. And it's built around The I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase it. The loss of innocence of Inspector Ho. I think that's a good way to put it without giving anything away.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what it's built around. And that's what carries it at the end of the day is these two characters and their evolving, either their growth or their degeneration. And I think that's why they stand out to me. And this is why I am such a huge fan. Anyway, it's excellent. The way they deal with Bun's visions is fantastic. It's just really inventive. It's incredibly entertaining, and it's just it leans on characters being overwrought and indecisive in a way that you just don't see getting used very often. Again, I already warned you. I'm going to say it. I'm a huge fan of this one also. I am just a when Johnnie To is, and even sometimes when he makes comedies, I kind of wish we'd picked a different one of his comedies. They're well made, they're well edited. He gets good performances out of his cast. The scripts can be a little dicey, but you can say that about anybody. It always lands well, and it makes it a complete overall film worth watching. And that's what this is. It's a solid, unique character piece that delivers a totally unique detective. Well, I guess he's not totally unique. There's a lot of other characters that do it, but what he does essentially, but it's a good approach to it that you don't see very often. It's both his strength and it's his destruction, and I think it's incredible. It's
For some
incredibly
reason,
well done.
it still does feel to me more unique than
Yeah,
other iterations of this kind of thing. And like this was my biggest, pleasant surprise of the week because again, just with the title, I think I was expecting something quite different, and it's just so well put together, and yeah, I did feel that it was unique, even though there have been people with similar gifts or curses
yeah,
and this kind of material done in different ways.
yep. Yeah. I just it's a really good handling of the material, and again, it's one. And I'm going to say this now: a lot of Johnny To stuff is not easy to find in the U.S. Election, Triad Election, Throwdown, and that's about it. There's some boutiques have lately released some of these, and that's one reason that made me finally decide to pull the trigger. Um, I think Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow and is it 7 or 88 films have all released some Johnny To stuff in the last couple years to make his more accessible here. So that's why we're finally doing it. Just in case you're wondering why are they finally doing it, because I've been threatening it for a long time. Uh, I guess that means I got to go with Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Don't Go Breaking My Heart is a rom-com about uh, Chayan, played by Gao Yun, who's an analyst a financial analyst whose boyfriend has recently left her and left all his shit behind in her apartment. Uh, Not knowing what to do with it, she eventually meets up with an alcoholic architect played by Daniel Wu, and she starts a flirtation with the CEO across the street, Chung Shin Ran, played by Louis Koo. Uh, Wackiness ensues. Eventually, Rand becomes her boss. The alcoholic cleans up and ends up in another flirtatious window suite, and things evolve from there. I cannot be fair to Don't Go Breaking My Heart, so you gotta forgive me because as much as I love Johnny To, and I think the cast in this is good and it's still well made, I think a lot of his romances fall a little flat because they lack the sizzle. And this one tragically has a sequel made 4 years later that was made in order to help finance some other movies we will talk about, or maybe a movie we've already talked about. And the sequel is one of the worst things I've ever seen, to the point that it makes me hate this movie, and I cannot be fair to it. So I'm sorry. some things are best left not seen, and that includes Don't Go Breaking My Heart too. So I can't be fair to it. I do think the cast is charming. I think they're very winning, and I think they should work well together. But for all the nice things I read other people say about it, I can't see it because of the second movie, and I know that's a me problem, and I'm just gonna have to learn how to deal with that.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. I really can't be fair to it. And I wanted to. Like I've got notes, and all my notes are hating on it because I know what they do with the characters. It was such a betrayal that it made me really just dislike having to spend 2 hours with them in this version. Even though I would have, I know, like in my heart of hearts, I would have enjoyed this if I could have. Like Jai Zhaoqin is the architect's secretary. She's adorable, and I think she's great in this. Um, I think the sets are really good. It's really well made. It's decently paced. I mean, even this is a 2 hour long rom com, but I think they make it work. I think they make it work really, really well. And I think that at the end of the day, if this was a standalone, I think it would be adorable. I think the relationship between Chi Yan and uh I didn't write down his name because it was a Kwai Hong. Kwai Hong. I knew I'd remember it. I think it's fantastic. Even with uh, her bosses trying to get involved there, I think it's great. And to the point that again, it makes having to spend knowing what happens, it makes it worse. It hurts it for me to
Oh
such a
man.
deep,
I'm
deep
going to
level.
get round to that at some point now, and I've got to hate it as
Oh,
much as you
you
show me.
will hate it more than me, and that's the thing. That's the
Oh
thing. I
man.
know I pushed you into watching it, and I feel so bad about it because you will spend the same amount of time for one of the worst go fuck yourself endings ever filmed. Ever filmed. Yeah.
Yeah, because this was, to me, again, it was, and I think maybe just because of my lack of familiarity with like different genres of movies that come from Hong Kong and China, I think that's maybe why this was another slightly pleasant surprise to me. It wasn't great, not the best movie I've watched in recent years, not the best rom com I've watched, but it was kind of enjoyably like more bitter at times than I expected. There's quite a bit of bitterness here. There's quite a bit of callousness, really, between certainly between a couple of the characters in a couple of key scenes. So it did that, and yet still managed to kind of ride the roller coaster tracks through what you expect from standard rom com slash love triangle stuff. So I did enjoy this one. I enjoyed it more than I expected it to because I expected to pick it, um, break your heart slightly, and then we want to sit through it and we could gripe about it together this week. But it was alright. It was cute. I really like the thing. I kind of wanted to test that and see if that really works when you put a ring in the pages with the light. I mean, I assume that would work actually. Just where it has a nice heart shadow. It's very cute.
Good.
And
Yeah.
a nice romantic visual. Yeah, I liked. I generally liked the three leads. Um, there are a couple of main supporting players here who are pretty good, including Lam Suet, who's who's the guy I think who keeps uh, sort of wishing he was the leading man in this one. That's what he seems to intimate when they're having their passing conversations. But he doesn't see the grief that the guy gets as well when he's not got his love life in order. I think it looks decent throughout. As you said, Dave, it's nearly 2 hours, and I forgot that runtime because I don't think it feels that long. Like it doesn't drag. It just has good enough pacing that just breaks it up nicely, and works well. So it was never going to be like the favorite movie of this week, but I was again pleasantly surprised by it and enjoyed this. And for me, I know there's like 10 Johnny To movies you would have put in place here, but for me, it was genuinely quite good to see a slightly wider range of what To has done and be like, okay, I kind of I feel comforted knowing that he seems to be able to master everything he's put his hands to.
I
You know,
totally understand your reasoning.
uh,
It's just because of which movie it is. That's all, and I
yeah,
get it. Like I get it. I understand. I am not being reasonable when I talk about this movie.
no, that's fine. We shall see if
So
I'm
full of hate
reasonable by the
still.
time I
You
try
won't
and
be,
make.
and that's just it. That's just it. You'll see the end of that, and you'll be like, "What the fuck?" Oh, fucking man! I'm telling you, like we have watched some dogs on here, and none of them like I can think back on them and be like, yeah, that sucked. But like I was watching this, and I started remembering too, and I just simmered with rage forever. And I like that's how much I hated it.
Wow.
Yeah, that
So
I'm telling.
so I know I remember that was my pick. You say Craig picked The Mission. Did
Yes,
Tyler pick Mad Detective or was that
I
you?
picked Mad Detective. Tyler picked
Right.
Drug War.
Tyler picked Drug War. Okay.
Tyler picked Drug
Um.
War.
So yeah, I mean, Drug War is. I would say it's what you probably think of more as a Johnny To film. Although The Mission is very much that. But when people think of Johnny To films, if they know of the election movies and they know of sort of his reputation for those, they would think of stuff like The Mission and Drug War. And Drug War is really just about, someone captured and then looking to bargain with the police to try and help them infiltrate the drug crime gangs and do some deal and get himself safe and free. But he also wants to uh, potentially play people off one another. It's Louis Koo again, who was in Don't Go Breaking My Heart. He's here as Choi, the main sort of character caught by the police and then caught between all the undercover shenanigans. And the main police captain is played by Sun Hong Lee, and yeah, he's wanting to keep as close an eye as possible on Choi, but obviously people have to start pretending they're different people. It gets very complicated and very difficult to keep control of a situation when things are spiraling, especially when there are so many people that try and put up fronts and have others acting on their behalf. And there are a couple of characters here. I think I wrote the right names down as Guo Tao and Li Jing. They are, I believe, I don't know if, sorry, I don't know if there's a better way to word this, but I believe they're the mute brothers who work as part of this big drug operation. Um, maybe there's a better phrase I should use
Yeah,
there. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's what they are. So yeah.
Right, that's fine. They like
I guess
they're
nonverbal is the tech is the
okay.
technical.
But they're I mention those because they're really good, and I think they kind of get a real highlight with their main sequence. I don't want to spoil, but basically, they always have an escape route planned anyway if they're about to be stormed by the authorities. I really like this. It was I think for the most part it's very standard crime movie thriller stuff, but the performances are great. You have the aforementioned characters that I said, they add something that feels slightly different and more memorable because of just how they are and how they end up acting when the shit goes down. And yeah, again, like I love the ending of this. Um, I think the only ending that didn't really impress me so much was Don't Go Breaking My Heart this week, which and the ending's all right, but every other film has an ending that ranges from uh, pleasingly satisfying and good to absolutely great. Drug War, I thought the very end may not be the highlight. It might be about a minute before the very end, which I just
That
absolutely loved.
that second to last sequence is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, I mean that the whole thing there is great. But yeah, the final moment between two main characters is you'll know what I'm on about. It's just brilliant, and it's also superbly satisfying as well when you realize how all of these cards have gone tumbling down, and the person who's trying to knock them over and get out of the way is right there in the middle of everything. So yeah, I really like this one. Um, just like no complaints at all. Drug War. If it wasn't for Mad Detective, Drug War would have been my favorite. And again, if people went into Johnnie To's filmography and checked out the mission, they wouldn't go wrong. But they're probably going to be more easily won over by Drug War. It's, I think it's almost like a more streamlined kind of, not necessarily stripped down, but it's a lot easier to follow because whatever's happening around the two main characters, you're still very much focused on those two main characters, because there's the informant who doesn't want to stay in the hands of the law, and there's the police captain who wants to keep him in his grasp and wants to act on that information, and that's it. Everything else around him is great, and there's a fantastic picture that is developed, but you can just focus on their kind of, you know, two-hander, and it's just a lot easier to be dragged through the narrative on this. I think it's great.
I'm going to disagree with Kevin just a hair.
How dare you?
Well, hold on. I mean, like, I agree that, like, on paper, this has been there, done that, but it is done so well that it is the best example of this kind of film. And this is what I'm going to say that's going to annoy Kevin. This is what I want a Mission Impossible film to be. Smart characters doing smart things by the seat of their pants to pull off an elaborate mission. Uh, Instead of yeah, it's a neat stunt, but why are we doing it except because we can? Because Tom Cruise needs to validate himself as a man. This is excellent. And every scene is fantastic. The cast does a fantastic job, especially Louis Koo. And there's some scenes like when they first get to his warehouse that he just plays amazingly. Sun Hong Lee as Captain Lee is just like, he is all over the place. The character plays three characters as the character, and he does it fantastically. It's great. It's an incredibly well done, well paced, well shot, well acted crime thriller where every scene is tense. There is a real tension running through it that a lot of other crime thrillers just don't get. And it's something I would put this one up with, like Kevin said, I would put this up with Election and Triad Election, which are still two of my all-time favorite crime films. The editing is done by, and I think the editing on all of the movies we watched. No, 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 no. Most of the movies we watched is done by David Richardson, who I believe he does a quarter of Johnnie To does like did two or three films a year for a long time. Did a quarter of his movies starting in like with Throwdown, I think. He also, fun fact, he was also the editor for several Uwe Boll films. But he's an excellent editor who has a great eye for which scenes, which takes to use, and with Toe is it's just an incredible duo, and Wai Kai Fi. who co-wrote and co-directed several of the films we watched this week. And the cinematography for this one is done by Ching Soo Kung, who also is a frequent collaborator of To's. He also filmed the Running Out of Time movies, which we didn't cover. But that was the first one I thought of. He did Mad Detective, Election 2. He did Dumplings, Throwdown. I'm trying to remember. He did Don't Go Breaking My Heart, the first one. I don't think he did the second one. Anyway, yeah, absolutely excellent cinematographer. Like Toe's core group around him is fantastic. And this is, for me, this is a stunting, look at what we can do. Fuck you, do it better. I dare you film. And as far as I'm concerned, nobody has since this came out in 2012. Uh, all the cast is excellent. The scenes all have tension and drama, and there's pathos to even to Koo's character, who is a scheming piece of shit. He has scenes that you really feel for him as a character. You really get to feel Sun Hong Lee's character's drive. It is just it is a fantastic and incredibly well done crime thriller that I think everybody should go look up. And yes, yeah, you should look up all of them as well, except for Don't Go Breaking My Heart, if you ask me. But for me, I think this one just takes the cake by a hair. It is just amazing. And I think that's the best spot to transition. It is time to pick one. And for me, it is Drug War. It's close, though. I mean, I gushed a fair amount, mostly incoherently. But I adore all three of these four films. And even the fourth one, I understand, you know? I understand why people would like it. It just didn't land for me for reasons. But you won't go wrong with any of them. But for me, I think Drug Wars is the one to go for.
I cannot turn my back on Mad Detective. Like, even while we were discussing it, I was thinking more about how great it is.
Yeah, no,
Just like,
it's great. They are both great, and that's the thing. That's the thing I really want to impress. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. I just think as an entry point for Johnnie To's work.
yeah, like I would agree with you there. As my choice for the week, I'm going with Mad Detective. But I agree with you. Yeah, I can't see people checking out Drug War and then being disappointed.
I mean, if Tyler was here, I probably would have said Mad Detective also. It is a razor thin. It is a razor thin margin for me. But next week we have picks from Kevin, and well, because Craig isn't here, it means we give his pick to someone else. And next week, his pick was taken by Tyler's dad, Tim. Thank you, Tim. Kevin, what movies do you do you guys both have for us?
Well, let me just bring up the memo from Tyler, you son of a bitch. To remind that Tyler's dad gave us Katie Says Goodbye. I can't say I've heard of that one, but there's a decent cast there. Again, sometimes Tyler's dad shares Tyler's movie tastes, so we shall see.
We
Uh,
will.
yeah, and I'm going to treat us, Dave. We were here. We have made it. We've gone through weeks. We're like we're basically besties now. We're BFFs. We're the podcast power couple. So for our benefit, I'm finally picking The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, all right. Nice.
I know I've got one vote in the bag, baby.
I don't, you know what? I mean, yeah, probably, but I have not seen the other one, and I am going to go in with an open mind as I always do, because Tim has occasionally done good by us. I
Yes,
mean,
yes, he has.
so
I was thinking of what to pick this week, and Sherlock Holmes came to mind. And funnily enough, though, there is they still have the I want to call it a sonograph, but it could be a radar photo. When you do some of the trips in Loch Ness in Scotland, they've still got some of the photos from the props that were in the water. So they claim that, oh yes, that is the closest they've come to a photo of a real Nessie. So that's all I know about the film. It reminded me of that time learning about Loch Ness as well.
Oh, I guess I'll do the business. I mean, I put it on you last time. So you can reach us on our Facebook page, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, where on all of those we are Raiders of the Podcast. You can reach us on oh, well, I'm sorry. On Instagram, we are Raiders _of_the _podcast. On the others, we're just Raiders of the Podcast. You can email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our videos on YouTube, where, again, Raiders of the Podcast. And you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, Kevin. You know, fuck the other two, but thanks for joining me,
Yeah,
Kevin.
anytime.
Yeah, just
Anytime, you know.
go see a Johnnie To film. The dude is so good and so deserves your attention. I'll talk to you next week.
Yep.